Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
I say this every single time, but I am tired.
Me too.
It's a long day.
It's been a pretty bad day. I agree. I'll tell you something a little funny that happened in my day.
Tell me.
I had an Indian guy, like not a Native American. I'm not being a piece of shit. A person whose ancestors are from the country of India. I know what I'm talking about. Say to me today, "Happy Juneteenth." And in my head, I was like, I don't think that's right. I was like, I don't think it's for either of us, buddy. But I didn't say that out loud because that's a lot worse. If I was that's not my holiday. I didn't want to come across as one of those. So,
Derek, let me start off by saying Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So this is kind of funny. It's not really funny, but we have whatever. This is office politics. It's not going to be entertaining to anybody. We have what's called a floating holiday. My office,
of course,
we
do as well. I also work in an office. I'm familiar.
I work in the IT service industry. Therefore, we don't take off a lot of the like Columbus Day and shit like that. We're open because most of our clients are open. We're not a bank or anything like that. So we have a certain amount of federal holidays that are off. Of course, the big ones, and then they give us one floating holiday. It's like pick whatever holiday you want off, basically.
Yeah.
And what that's turned into is just the time of year people want to be off and they pick a random one. So we have one of the whitest guys I've ever seen, stark red mane of hair, who took off today, Juneteenth. And he was just like, well, it was the closest one I could take off, basically, was his motivation. And I found out that when he was off today, he was building a goat pen. And so I have something in the salvo for tomorrow about how he was working on detaining some creatures from their freedom on a day specifically meant to celebrate the release. Anyway, happy Juneteenth. If you lived under a rock, you don't know that Juneteenth is the celebration of the official end of slavery in the United States. Some could argue that there's still social and corporate slavery, but hey, we're not that kind of podcast. This is episode 103. I'm very tired, but there's so much shit to talk about.
There's a lot.
I got to be real with you guys. We're probably going to surface skim most of it.
It's going to be a lot of top of the soup.
Yeah.
We're not doing any deep dives into the bottom of the soup can here.
Yeah. The only thing I want to talk about is The Flash. And did you watch Yellowjackets, the first two?
I watched more than the first two. I watched
I like that because that means you liked it.
Yeah,
okay,
I watched
cool.
like half of it.
Half the first season?
Yeah.
I have to see where Samantha and I stopped. In fact, let me send that message so she can tell me now so I know how far we can go. We're going to get into it. So
you watched more than the first two as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which means you liked it as well.
Yes.
I don't think we hide that from each other anymore.
No.
I like on the way out of the Flash, we were like, that was good. All right, bye. Can I tell you, and I mean this, this is sincere. I realized something that I appreciate about you. And I sometimes I feel like I'm coming across like a dick. And so sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to come out and say, hey, I mean what I'm about to say. Something that I appreciate about you is like 9 out of 10 times when you and I get together, it's like, we're just hanging out, whatever happens. We might, blow each other, a little suck. Who knows? Everything's up in the air. Who gives a shit? But 1 out of 10 times it's like I have shit to do. You know what I mean? And I feel like I can like hint that to you. And you don't get upset. You don't nothing like. So the other day, before before the Flash, you're like, "Hey, did you want to?" I was thinking maybe we would do this, and I kind of said something like, "Oh, I wanted to get some work in or whatever." And you went, "Oh, okay." And afterwards, I was like, "Did he know what I meant? Like, did he know that I meant when we were done, I wanted to go?" And then when we walked out of the theater, you went, "Love you, be safe, bye," and you just walked away from me. I was like, I fucking love this guy. He knew exactly what I meant.
Yeah, no, I could. When you tell me like, oh, I kind of need. I was going to try and just get home. Ron took the day. I'm like, no, okay, I get it. Like, I know what that means.
Yeah. I love that about you.
I have a wife and a child as well. Two children's even.
Children's.
Two chitletians.
Yeah, happy belated Father's Day. That's with an A.
Thanks.
Fathers.
You too. That was yesterday. I still got to celebrate today. Grayson's preschool, sure, that's whatever it's called, pre-K4, did a Donuts for Dad.
Yeah, so, same fucking thing.
Did you go?
Yeah, 100% I did. There's the donuts.
Here's me. Here's the donuts. I don't know if you can see this, but I got this is the trophy he made.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very good.
It says number one dad on it.
Also, can't be true because I'm the number one dad, but we won't get into that.
We're tied today. I mean, for one day a year, all the fathers are in first place, even the shitty alcoholics.
As long as your kid makes a trophy, that's all it takes.
If they gave you a card or made a trophy for you, you fucking won that day. Anyway, we have a monstrous amount of stuff to get through, so we're gonna say,
let's do it.
I have news articles in here. Most of them are in reference to something else in the document, whether it be a trailer. So we're just gonna jump, I think, straight to the trailers.
Let's do
it. Except for this very, very first one, and again, gonna be quick. We all know that Zack Snyder is having a film called Rebel Moon coming out that basically is he pitched this to Lucasfilm as a Star Wars movie. They said no thank you, and he said, well, I'm Zack Snyder and I'm gonna make it anyway. Rebel Moon releases on Netflix on December 22nd, 2023. I believe there's going to be a sequel. It's got a ton of working actors that I've seen in other things that I know are pretty good at what they do. And they have some stills from the film, and there's not a ton to talk about. Again, I will just say the style is like Star Wars meets, and I promise this is not a bad thing, Battlefield Earth meets...
Are you sure?
I promise I didn't mean it in a bad way. Meets Mad Max in space. There's a lot of cool looking and what I would say very Zack Snyder looking.
Yeah, very ZS, very ZS of him.
I'm down for it.
I'm super excited. I heard that there's an R-rated version and then a PG-rated version, which is weird to me. And of course
the Snyder Cut related version.
Right, the one that's fucking 19 hours long. And has more Henry Cavill. This does look very cool. I agree. I'm actually looking forward to it. Very much so.
Cool.
And that's it. We're done with Snyder. Just like
goodbye.
DCEU. You're done, buddy. Get the fuck out.
We had, basically, they have one film left that's technically DCEU, and then they're off to new things. Yes, I had a Flash article in here. Not going to talk about it right now. Mm-hmm. And there's actually some directing news on the DC side for the new slate of films. We'll talk about when we get to Flash because it's all relevant, baby. Might have to do with the director of The Flash, Andy Muschietti. Also directed it. Don't know why I brought that fact up. Doesn't matter. Moving on. We got so many trailers. Before we get into the video game stuff, they also released a really quick, 30-second clip from Ahsoka that, even though it's only 30 seconds, still got me fucking hyped. Seeing Sabine Wren and everything in there is super titties. I didn't mean because of her titties. That's very racist. Not racist, misogynistic. I'm all over the place. It's very misogynistic.
It was the wrong ist. You get the ists mixed up sometimes.
It was very toxic masculinity adjacent. I don't know. I'm just overcompensating now with
future proofing. Yeah. This is my apology on Twitter 3 years from now. I'm doing it right now.
Exactly. I meant the 30-second clip, and seeing Sabine, the act of seeing her is in fact titties. This comes out August 23rd.
I just liked her tits.
I see what you did there.
Just kidding. Did she become a Jedi? Just tell me. I know she trains with the lightsaber, but clearly...
No, not officially.
Okay. All right. Okay.
She and the training with the lightsaber is basically prep for her to wield the dark saber properly. And you might when they talk about the dark saber, and this isn't a spoiler because they talk about it more so in The Mandalorian than they do in Rebels, but they talk about how that saber kind of works with your emotions almost. It's like if you're at ease, you can use this thing easier, but if you're conflicted and full of strife, it's almost difficult to wield, as you saw by Paz Vizsla, and even Mandalorian himself wielded it. He had a lot of trouble with it. So that implies to me a force connection. Whether or not they call it a force connection, anything that responds to a character's emotional spectrum, I'm like, well, how's that? It's not a sentient blade. But no, she just gets trained with a lightsaber. It's very cool, very fun area. You were like fucking butthole hair away from it in your watch through. from what I remember you leaving off at.
I saw her training with. I think she was training with the Darksaber against. I really have to pick it back up because it's been a while now. We're talking like 2 months till this comes out. Let's just leave it at that. I need to catch up. This looked awesome, and I agree. Boners, just boners. Episode title: boners. Like girls, but you know.
Yeah, boners. All right, let's knock out the other couple non-video game related things before this. This one surprised me, didn't know it was coming out, but another animated Justice League trailer dropped for Justice League War World.
It's hard to say fast. You have to think
Justice
about
League,
it.
War World. This,
but if like a bomb was about to go off and you were asking someone, War World, they wouldn't know what you were saying because it's such a weird thing. It's like marbles are inside your mouth.
Yeah, well,
sorry, talk about the movie. I'm sorry. We're two different kinds of tired right now. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm literally like, this looks like a silly, very comic book heavy premise where our superheroes are being swept away to a world literally called War World, which is it's almost like Planet Hulk. Like in the comic books, he gets swept away to this, basically Roman-esque gladiatorial arena with Sakaar in the films, but it's literally like a war world in there. Mm-hmm. A place of unending brutal gladiatorial combat. So we see our big Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They show them in different timelines. The Batman like medieval armor looks fucking dope. Mm-hmm. It's just I didn't know this was coming out, and some of it looks kind of fun. Jensen Ackles is voicing Batman in this. If you did not know that, our Superboy.
Nice.
And
isn't there like a big rumor that he's gonna live action?
There is
the Batman.
He's brought up in contention a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know that it's necessarily any closer than any other rumor, but I'd be down for it. He's about
I think
age
Troy
appropriate.
Baker was Two-Face. At least it really sounded like him. I didn't look it up, but no, it looks cool. It looks like a little Elseworld type thing. Some Batman noir type stuff. I dig it. I like it a lot. I've said it before, so I won't harp on it any longer than one sentence. I think that the cartoons are a better medium for the sort of just wacky shit because it's a cartoon, so it doesn't seem so off the fucking wall.
It feels like you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
This one comes out July 25th, and that means it'll probably show up on streaming platforms a little earlier than that, because they usually precede the digital releases, which means it'll be out to the masses mid-July. Okay, moving on. Easy. See how quick we're moving?
We're doing it, baby.
Easy, breezy, beautiful. Cover girl. The Witcher Season 3. This came out. This starts soon, like 10 days from now soon. June 29th. I am stoked about it. Also, don't let me forget, Marvel's Secret Invasion starts on the 21st, which is in a couple days.
Mm-hmm. It's getting like butt butter reviews, isn't it? Pretty sure.
Like bad reviews?
Like super bad.
Oh,
maybe I dreamt that. Sometimes I have dreams and then I think they're memories.
I thought it was getting really good reviews.
You're probably right.
No. Oh, okay. Let's see. The official RT, which again, massive grain of salt.
Yeah.
But the official Rotten Tomatoes right now, out of 56 reviews, decent, not a ton of, it's at a 66.
Oh, okay.
The consensus from Rotten Tomatoes is a well-deserved showcase for Samuel L. Jackson. And Secret Invasion steadies itself after a somewhat slow start by taking the MCU in a darker, more mature direction, which is kind of what you get from the trailer. And I'm going to at least give it the 2-episode rule because Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, agree.
Anyway, back to the topic at hand. The Witcher Season 3, a.k.a. the swan song of Henry Cavill, which should be the name of the season. The Swan. I sent you a tweet earlier. That was someone saying they are Henry Cavill sexual.
Yeah.
Like that was their orientation.
Relatable, yeah.
And they were like, I gotta quit sexualizing Henry Cavill every single day. And I was like, man, I've never seen a random internet fact that I agree with more. He's just a honey. What do you want? What do you want from me? He seems like a sweetheart. He's got a British accent. Really does. He's buffed to the fucking nines. Probably got a big fat cock. Who knows these things? I don't.
I can't imagine it would be small. Just look at the rest of him.
I was going to say, even if it's even if it's proportional, I mean, you know what's worrisome to me? I can't remember if we've had this conversation before, and the answer is probably yes.
How many times have we circled back on Cavill cock on the show?
Oh God!
Oh God! It's been doing it 3 years now. You're gonna double up some conversations, you know.
Man, it has been. We have been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I don't know if it's been 3, but something close to it.
It's a testament to how much I love you. You know,
I love
really.
you too.
Just you specifically, no one else.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Sorry, that I just want to clarify. That sounded like a direct shot at our ex-co-host Scott. I did not mean it like that.
That's how I took it. I was like, wow, that was so mean.
Well, then I'm glad that I clarified. Yeah. I meant like you in the realm of like everybody.
Right. Okay.
But gotcha. As soon as it left my lips, I went, ooh, that sounded bad. All right, moving on. We'll get back to The Witcher eventually, I promise. The trailer's cool. I don't know, like, we heard a lot of this background talk, background chatter, chit chat, static, if you will, white noise. That this season in particular, and the show in general, was moving more away from the source material than Cavill would like, and that was one of the reasons for his decision to leave. I think Cavill personally just got fucked. I think that he had the cameo in Black Adam. And I think that he was under the impression he was coming back as Superman. And then I think he left Witcher in preparation for that and probably other things, but also that had to be a what you would call a reason or something that would lend it, you know. And then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And sure, he's still doing other things. He's got that Warhammer show coming out and stuff, but I really feel like he was like, look, I got to empty my calendar a little bit. I got these big tentpole things that are coming up.
Yeah.
And then I think Warner Bros. Fucked him on it, at least one of them. And that sucks. That sucks big old shit. But look, this trailer looks pretty cool. And I gotta be honest with you. I like the games, Witcher games. I've never read the books, which means that I don't care what they do with the lore. As long as what they do in the show is interesting, I'll still be on board with it. So bring it on. I'm ready.
Well, they're bringing the wild Hunt in, as we can see. We saw some wild Höönters chasing them, which is exciting.
Might be the episode title. Why the wild?
How would you spell that? Like
Hoonter. Yeah. I'm going to write it down.
No, it just made me want to play the game again, which I'm not going to do because I have so many fucking games I'm trying to play right now. But seeing the wild hunt charging them just reminded me of those scenes in the game. And I never played the DLCs like a total cuck. So one day I have to go back and do that because some people say that Blood and Wine is better than the base game. So
Blood and Wine is very good.
Yeah, Hearts of Stone I hear is like good, but like,
That's fine.
Take it or leave it. But then Blood and Wine is like amazing apparently. So one of these days. I mean, the major difference is that one of them is like Heart of Stone. Heart of Stone. Mm-hmm. They basically just go, hey, this area of the map that you've already been to, well, now there's something to do there, so go back. Yeah.
Whereas, Blood and Wine or whatever it is.
You got it. You nailed it.
Is a whole new like area, and they introduced like new mechanics. Like you literally get like to buy land and like upgrade the area that the vineyard or whatever. And they really set, you can tell that they fully intended for that to be the swan song. It's the whole storyline is cool, but it really feels like this setup for an awesome goodbye to the character, and it's really a good DLC pack.
Yeah, fuck yeah! I'll have to do it when I'm caught up on the other 19 games that I'm trying to play right now.
Trying to catch a gnat. It's impossible.
It can't be
same
done.
One from last week.
Dude, Veronica is so fucking good at catching fly. Not like catching, like she smacks them, I'm saying. But like, I don't know if I just have dumb, stupid hands and I just assumed everybody else did. Like the fly always gets away at the last second. Veronica will sit here and like zen and just like, bam. She's like, right now. She knows. Here she comes. This is the fly killer.
I'm a massage therapist. I'm good with my hands.
There's that too.
We were sitting watching TV and Sam was like, oh my God, Grayson, did you just get that fly? He apparently saw a fly, grabbed a marker like that you draw on a board with, killed it with the marker. Sorry. Yeah. Killed it with the marker and then picked it up and put it in the trash. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah,
like dude. Kill Bill style, like just shinged it.
I have no idea. I don't know if he blunt objected it, like with the side of the, more surface area, or if he just went shing. But either way, murder-dirter. It's dead.
Yeah, it could be signs of a serial killer for number one. Here we go. We're down the path. Could be. Who knows? Is he going to be an adept toolsman or a serial killer? Let's just move on. Go to the next.
I gotta watch out for his aptitude with skinning and stuffing animals in the backyard when I'm not looking. Yeah, Witcher looks cool. We'll see. It's got to be a wait and see. I mean, it'll come out. I'll give it 2 episodes. We'll see if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Comes out soon. Sounds good. Moving on. Next. Speaking of the supernatural, What We Do in the Shadows, season 5 trailer. We're not caught up. I didn't finish the last one either. You might be further back than I am.
Definitely.
And it was not for like I wasn't into it. There was just other stuff on that we got.
So many things came out at one time, and it just kind of like fell to the wayside.
Yeah, that's what happens. But the trailer for season 5 is out, and I don't know if it just because I missed the show, but the trailer just fucking tickled me.
Yeah.
It had me laughing pretty hard. This returns on 7/13. It's pretty close. Hopefully, we'll get to get back into it. We'll have to catch up and get ready before the new season.
Did you finish Dave? Speaking of funny shows that are on FX,
did not finish it yet.
Me neither.
Is the season done?
I think it is. Yeah.
You tell me.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure. We got a lot of catching up to do.
We really do. It's been rough.
It's been a really rough summer. It's my Boston thing I'm doing today. Father's Day in summer. Yeah. It's been, But funny trailer. Funny. Can't wait for it.
Funny.
That's my Roger and Ebert rating. Funny, and then the same word again.
Okay, moving on. That was officially, as far as I can tell. Let me skim the list. Yeah, okay. I lied. There's one more. That's not video game related. That's Kraven the Hunter. What?
I saw someone call this White Panther earlier.
Holy shit! Oh, I wish you hadn't told me. I wish you had. I wish you hadn't told me that someone else came up with that. Because I want to use it for the episode title, like hands down. Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. What did you think of the trailer?
Woof! Oh my goodness, how far the guy from Kick-Ass has fallen. He's doing Kraven the Hunter. There was something in this trailer so ridiculous that I remember going, "Wait, what the? Did they just fucking really do that?" And I actually can't remember what it is now. So while we talk about it, They imply very heavily from this trailer that the way in which he got his powers is basically just a lion bled into one of his open cuts.
His lion wounds, yeah.
And I was like, I remember watching it and I was like, what?
And now he can talk to animals. The rest is history.
And make no mistake, he does have powers. If I remember correctly, he's somewhere close to Captain America strong. Mm-hmm. He's basically just like super soldier type stuff, which makes sense. I mean, you see him ripping off fucking doors from cars and shit. I mean, he's definitely not normal. He's riding that White Panther. You know what I'm saying? He's right up his nose. That's how he's doing all these feats. Right. Look, we don't.
Strength.
Sony's over here, and they've been trying to do it ever since they let Marvel borrow Spider-Man. They're trying to these B, C, D, and Z list characters, and they're trying to give them movies to make some kind of a universe, and it's just not working. I mean, we had Venom, and the first one was like okay. The second one is terrible. We have Morbius, which is such a fucking meme that the internet tricked Sony into thinking we wanted to see it again, and they put it back in theaters, and then no one went to go see it the second time either, which is like one of the best stories.
It's hilarious, yeah.
And now we're on to Kraven the Hunter, and these are all Spider-Man adjacent villains. These are people who very heavily cross paths with Spider-Man. You'll notice there will be no Spider-Man to be found. However, they will showcase the Rhino, because he's apparently what Kraven is hunting in this. He's teased at the end. We see skin turning into like, a rhino carapace or whatever. It's not a suit anymore. Look, whatever. I'm assuming this is going to be bad.
It's going to be a Morbius tier movie, which means it's going to be the stupidest fucking plot imaginable. But the action is going to be good enough that you didn't feel like you totally wasted your time watching it. This was pretty fucking gory for like a superhero movie.
That's true.
He bit someone's face off in the trailer.
He used a bear trap to like hit someone's it
was kind of cool. Like, I can't lie. Like, the fucking concept is so dumb. Dude, when it showed the lion's blood drop into his thing and then his eye turned a different color, I was like literally in tears laughing. And then some of the like brutality of what was going on, I was like, all right, well, that's point in your favor, but this it's gonna be laughable.
Partly fulfilling a furry fetish fantasy. I would imagine you get lion's blood in you, and then your eyes turn colors.
That's what happened to Benson. That's what I heard. That's how he. that's how they got him.
That's how he got his superpowers.
Yeah, it's first. Let's just give you the Discord invite, and then the lion's blood comes next.
I'd like to draw attention to the fact that the byline they're going with, the one-off this movie is, once you're on his list, there's only one way off. Which, if that's like a game I could play of, did the movies say this or Hitler? Like, either one could be true. I'm sorry. I guess
just imagine being asked that question on Jeopardy. Like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Was it Kraven the Hunter or Schindler that said? Oh no. I feel like that's a good bit, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and pat myself on the back publicly. This comes out in movie theaters October. It's like villains aren't, there's multiple taglines for this movie. Villains aren't born, they're made. This trailer paints him in a somewhat heroic light from what I can see, or at least an anti-hero.
Yeah.
So it's really strange. I will say, on a visual level, he looks exactly like Kraven from like the Spider-Man animated show, which is to say absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And something that I think it's like a 90s they don't have to make a porn version of this, because the porn guy, he's already like shirt off with the big fur coat, and
that dude is shredded. It's unbelievable. Like, his muscles he has biceps on all of his muscles. It's insane.
He uses it to fuck old ladies too.
He's way to like a 90-year-old. It's insane. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She's not really 90, but she's old, especially compared to him.
I thought she was really 90 in my head. I guess.
Well, now she might be.
Hyperbole.
He's been with her forever.
Yeah, time keeps going in one direction. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It doesn't just stop when you marry someone.
His spouse is Sam Taylor Johnson. How old is she? She's 56.
Oh, okay. Now I feel like a dick.
And he's 33. Okay, so I mean, it's a 23-year gap. And listen, I know, believe me, my stepfather is 14 years older than my mom. He'll feel it in the end of times. When they both get older and she starts going first, because there's no question there, right?
Yeah.
Right? Am I right? Listen, guys usually die before women statistically, but
not
in this case, no.
Not this time. We figured it out.
Oh, not unless he was oh my God, never mind.
Oh, damn. I want to know now. Maybe you should.
Listen, I'm doing this with a disclaimer that it was meant only to make people laugh, and I don't actually feel this way. And it's a very serious foundation that deserves your donations and gratitude. I was going to say, not unless he was a Make-A-Wish kid and she was his wish. And then he would go first. That's how you solve the problem. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Let's move on. Please. We're going to go right into... Listen, we got a trailer. There's a ton of game shows. It was basically E3, but like compartmentalized E3. Like, every day it felt like another company. In some cases, it really was every day. Another company had a showcase for the games they had coming out. And I don't know if this is just because they were separated or something else, but it really felt like there was more this year.
Yeah.
There's definitely more games coming out this year than in the last like 2 years combined.
Yeah,
it feels like.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're gonna give super quick thoughts on this because we're already like, well, no, we're not. We started at 8:30. We're fine. For some reason, I thought we started at 8, and I was Mortal Kombat 1. We're still gonna be quick because there's not a lot to say besides looks cool, looks gory, story looks cool, fighting looks cool. Character designs. I love playing the Sub-Zero always, and like I can't wait to play it. And
it just looks fucking cool. There's just like a rhythm to the like. I think I said last time we brought it up that like every couple years I get into a fighting game and then I think I'm good and then I play online and then I realize I'm not good. But anyway, I'm happy to it's going to happen again. I'm ready to be hurt again. It looks fucking awesome. There's just this looks like you have like teammates you can call in and shit like that. I don't know what's going on in the story. I don't know if there's been like a reboot. It seems like
sort of.
I can't even think of his name. Kung Lao. Who's the main guy?
Liu Kang.
Liu Kang, thank you. Is like in Raiden's spot. Raiden.
Yep.
I'm thinking MGS2. Sorry. And there's like a flip flop where like Raiden is now the apprentice, and I don't know, whatever. I don't mind character musical chairs in this like a franchise that's this old that kind of needs to get spruced up a little bit, but it just looks good. It looks like really fucking pretty. The fatalities are brutal as fuck.
Yeah.
And it looks fun. It looks like a really good time.
It looks very fun. There's also, you said the tag team stuff. There's like tag team fatalities.
Yeah.
There's one where Kung Lao uses his hat and he slices somebody off with the knees and then the head, and then Kano comes up and rips his heart out afterwards. It's like, he's dead already.
Yeah, you didn't need to do that. Oh, dude, we could have drunken tournaments with all the boys. That would be
that sounds very fun.
Yeah, that would be a good old.
That would be a good old. There is so yeah, you're pretty dead accurate. I haven't played a fighting game in quite a while. Same as you. Every couple years I get the urge to play one. I buy it. I put like 15 hours into it. I'm like, okay, I'm good for the next 20 years. And so I have this weird soft spot for over the top ridiculous Mortal Kombat lore. So I still know what happened last game.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, like time was getting fucked with. I forget all the different pieces, but Raiden dies at some point. Liu Kang becomes the fire god Liu Kang, and essentially they reset time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where this is coming in. And if we had the cinematic
so this
trailer,
Liu Kang is the Liu Kang from the previous timeline, but everybody else,
he's the only one I get. As far as I know, he's the only one that sort of knows.
It's pretty
what
narcissistic.
Happened.
Like, I'm going to start everything over, but I'm going to remember everything.
I mean, you guys can't remember. I mean, in the first original reveal, it was something like, I remade the world at peace, but some people like there's eternal conflict or something, some bullshit. Who gives a shit? The answer is that it's reset. Liu Kang's in an interesting position. I was like, oh, what happened to Raiden? And then somebody at the end has like electric powers. And I was like, okay, I don't know who he is. It looks like it. Looks cool, right? Looks cool. You can pre-order. You get Shang Tsung if you pre-order. That's coming out in September. As you'll hear from a lot of these things, there's a ton coming out September, October this year, which is not far enough away to not give me anxiety.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, moving on. Do you like Sonic games?
I think the only thing that I would say about Sonic Superstars is that the ones where they embrace like the original Sonic formula tend to turn out good, like Sonic Mania from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like good in the way that they're fun for a playthrough or whatever, but it's always the 3D ones that are like all bonkers and stupid and everybody hates and they just turn into a meme. So the fact that they're like going back to that formula, I'm like, well, good for them. I'm not going to play it. I was never a Sonic guy, but it looks cool. It looks, I feel like the fans will like it. I don't know. I think people did like Sonic Frontiers, didn't they?
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the first one then. Maybe forget everything I just said.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think that, as far as I'm not a super crazy, huge Sonic fan, I would play this if I could play it for free.
Yeah.
That's probably about it. Unfortunately, I just never been into a platformer like that in that way. I played Sonic the Hedgehog when I was younger, but I don't have a ton of nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
But so Grayson, he's not a huge video game kid yet. He's only 4, doesn't have the motor skills necessarily, but the 2 games he likes to boot up is Mario Kart 8. And I have a Sonic the Hedgehog collection on the Switch of older games, and I'll boot up the older ones, and he's god awful at it. He'll jump and land on some spikes, and then I'm like, hurry up and move before they kill, and then he's dead, and then he gets mad. But because he's been doing that, there's a couple times where he'll hand me the Switch to beat a level, and I get that you're like, all right, when you get into a groove with those games, it feels good.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're going back to these traditional levels is pretty neat. I'm gonna keep moving on. This is coming out fall 2023. If you're into that, Sonic Superstars looks pretty cool.
I can't wait for that. By the way, before we move too far beyond that, like when your son can't do something in a video game and he's like, Daddy, does your dick like just like the Grinch, like his heart growing 3 times the size? Does that happen to you? Yeah, you're just like, yeah, I got this. Let me show you. Let Daddy show you how it's done. I can't fucking wait for that.
Yeah, and I do it, and in my head, I'm like, look how fucking easy that was, because I'm awesome. I don't say it out loud though. I just go, here you go, buddy. And he'll go, oh, thanks, Dad. And in my head, I'm like, yes.
Veronica just played Titanfall 2, and anytime she was stuck on a platforming part, I was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'll take care of this. And I just felt like I feel like it was how other people feel when they like fix their wife's car or something. Like, oh, don't worry, I took care of it, honey. Yeah. Right. I was like, I'll take care of this platforming segment, honey. Just give me a second.
No worries. It's
made me feel like a man.
Yeah, you got to come out sweat glistening after you're done.
Right, so swipe it away. There's grease for some reason.
Ask her where your fresh glass of lemonade is. I don't know. I'm going with this. Moving on to another classic. We got a Fable trailer. Mm-hmm. We got a Fable cinematic trailer. And I got to tell you, I kind of loved it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like the actor who portrays the giant in this. I forget his name, but he was in the IT Crowd show. Yeah. He's very funny. His mannerisms and the whole purpose. One, I didn't know there was a new Fable coming out. That's cool. I've always liked the Fable franchise. I fell off it for a bit, but I have good memories of playing Fable on the 360 back in the day. Returning to the world of Albion, and this
it's a very comfy game. The first one,
it was really comfy, cozy. The trailer has a cool thing where there's this actor that we're talking about. I'm gonna have to get his fucking name. It's driving me crazy. He's talking about how like heroes aren't really needed anymore, and how they're, who cares? And he's worried about growing vegetables and crops, and the whole like veg. His commentary is really funny. And turns out he's a giant, and and the hero ends up in his house face to face. And the trailer, it's just laid out really well. It was very entertaining, and I can't wait for a new Fable in like a new engine. So there's no release date given to this. They just announced that they were working on it. Cool.
I loved all 3 Fables, and people really like. There was like most people liked the first, even though people still had complaints about it because there was some like over promising, under delivering there. Second one was like iffy, and then third, most people didn't really like. I liked all of them. I think in their order they were released, like first best, second. No, I think I liked 2 the best. But so yeah, no, any kind of. I know that they did like the World of Albion or some weird MMO thing that didn't actually get sucked ass. And so any kind of return to that is welcome. I think that what makes Fable good is like the Monty Python British dry humor, and we see that in this trailer. Any listener of the show knows I'm not a fan of cinematic trailers, but it was a good one. It was a good time.
Richard IO80.
$80.
Yeah, Richard A. I'll go with that. Yeah, that's the guy who plays the giant. Love it. I forgot that Matt Berry, who's also in What We Do in the Shadows, was in the IT Crowd. He plays some kind of like random. Anyway, going back to it. Next up, we have heard about this game in rumors for a long time. Ubisoft working on an open world Star Wars game. We finally got a trailer, and then we got gameplay. Mm-hmm. It's called Star Wars Outlaws. This looks like it might be following spiritually in the vein of games like 1313. That never came out. Like it was going to be like an underworld kind of shooter. No lightsabers to be seen in this. And I got to tell you, I kind of hope it stays that way.
Same.
You get too many Jedi games out there, they become unspecial. I'd love the Fallen Order series to be the Jedi game, and then they make other things. They fuck off. I really quite like this. It really, it felt like a Star Wars game. It's a weird thing to quantify, but it did. Like the town looked wonderful, and there's a chase scene here, and there's gunplay. I don't know how much it's going to keep my attention if the talent trees are all about upgrading like a single blaster. They're hoping there's like a repertoire of weapons, and they're not showing us some stuff yet. But there's a really cool system with this pet that she has. Very, very BD1 like. However, it's an actual pet that you can tell to like go hit buttons and shit like that for you at will, as opposed to like, BD1's kind of just when the story calls for it. It's more linear. Or you can send them to like distract people and shit like that. That's pretty neat. And I don't know. It's very cool. She's talking to her partner in this is a droid, reprogrammed, but he has very humanoid actions. It's a Clone Wars era droid that's actually one of the enemy types in Fallen Order. And he just looks fucking rad, to be honest. Yeah.
The whole thing looks really good, and it has a good sense of style to it. I think that the lead is a perfectly roguish scallywag that you want to see in sort of a gunslinger. It's funny, like the one part of the trailer that bored me was the actual like gunplay. Like it just seemed like, like every other fucking third person shooter, but all of the like traversal and the shit that she did, like you said, there's like that mechanic where you can like tell your pet to go get you ammo or weapons that the people you kill drop.
Oh,
so you can
right.
kind of like hide behind cover and have them come bring you the thing, and then you have a new weapon. Like that kind of shit looks cool. Yeah. It looks very beautiful. It's just that it's Ubisoft, so it's like,
oh fuck, you just took my cum power. I was gonna say the biggest problem with this entire thing for me is the developer doing it.
Yeah.
We'll have to just wait and see. I mean, this is a developer that very often has been in the news recently for bad things, downsizing and canceling projects. They're not going to cancel this one. And maybe all that bad news happened because they're diverting a bunch of resources towards this. This is supposed to be open world. From what they showed, it could not be this in the final version, but they showed planet to space takeoff. They showed space combat. Yeah. They showed you going into hyperdrive manually. Those are big power fantasy checkboxes for me. If they can make all that happen seamlessly, it's going to be very sexual for me personally.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the sort of lack of lightsabers. I think like, obviously like with the original trilogy being the intro to the entire universe and it being centered around the Jedi and the Sith, it's like everything Star Wars thing feels like it has to get to like Force users. And I feel like if you really do a deep dive into the expanded universe, like even when the Jedi were at their height, like most people who lived their lives in the universe
were not Jedi.
Never even saw a Jedi or a lightsaber. Like, like they were at the center of like Coruscant and all these like major, but like by far most people ever and lived their entire lives and never even saw one. So like, especially, I don't know when this takes place. I don't know if it's like
during the original trilogy.
Oh, so after Order 66 then. So of course there were even fewer Jedi. Yeah. I like to see stuff go like, all right, there's a whole other universe to it. That's what I loved about Rogue One so much. There's a whole other side of thing. There's a whole other like casts of you understand what I'm saying. I think there's more interesting things to explore than just the fucking light sword people.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say not even that, but on top, you don't have the MacGuffin of light sword magician shows up to save the day. You know what I mean? Like, I 100% agree with that. The scoundrel's name is Kay Vess, which is just a great Star Wars name. They nail it with the fucking character names. Yeah. Cal Kestis is like an instant classic for me. It fucking is so
I think my favorite of all time is Kino Loy. I think that's the most Star Wars name you can possibly get.
Kino Loy is very good, and that was Spiegel's name in Holy Shit, Andor.
Yeah.
Kino Loy, played by fucking, how am I forgetting that guy's name in real life?
Yeah, Andy Serkis.
That guy, he got him. Andrew Serkisimo. Moving on. This game doesn't come out until next year, 2024. We don't have any other details, but gameplay was fun. Like I said, oh boy. They'll not only satisfy the Star Wars open world scoundrel fantasy for me, if this is good, they'll satisfy my space game fantasy, because all I want in life is detailed worlds to land on, take off from, seamlessly go into space, and then fight shit in space. Yeah. So please, daddy,
give this to me. Give me this one.
Give this to me, daddy. Speaking of give this to me, daddy, give me the money, because it's Payday 3. Sorry, that's the worst. We got there. We made it up.
That's right.
How long has it been since Payday 2 came out? Christ, I should have looked this fact up before. It's been a while, it feels
years sort of
times?
times?
Definitely 20 to 10 years. 10 of those years.
That's how many.
Payday 2's been out for a minute. Payday 3 is coming out. I don't believe they give a date. I could be wrong. I am wrong. September 21st. Again, Oh, I knew that. We talked about this already. Yeah. This is going to be on Xbox Game Pass, which is great. It means I don't have to pay for it. Payday 2 is just a fun game.
I didn't know until Jello had mentioned it in chat that you had ever played Payday 2. And in my head, I was like, why have we not all played Payday 2? Like, I was like, now we might as well wait for 3, right? I mean, it's a couple months away. But me and Jello were like fucking hard coming on that game back in the day. And, nice. And Peebo too. He doesn't listen though, so I don't like to mention him. And so does Veronica.
Nice.
I thought you said I peed too. I was like, all right, you should.
Well, hey, okay.
You should clean that up.
Yeah, it's gross, Ron. Put a mat down at least. What are we, animals?
So yeah, this Payday 2 is a fucking awesome game, fun time, and this one doesn't look a whole lot different from Payday 2, but
which is mostly okay.
Exactly, more of Payday 2 is okay. I'm all right with that.
Updated Payday 2 graphics. That's all we really. It looks better. Cool. Ready for it. September 21st. Yeah, can't wait. High octane co-op FPS experience. Okay. Moving on. We heard rumors. I feel like I've said that a lot today. We heard hints. We saw a trailer for this a long time ago. This is Avowed from Obsidian, the people who made Outer Worlds, and before that Fallout, New Vegas. They're very well known for RPGs. This basically looks like their take on Skyrim or a medieval fantasy. We had heard about Avowed quite a while ago, and we're very much looking forward to it. I gotta tell you, this trailer, it's really doing it for me. This is scratching an itch that I haven't played a game like this in a while, and I think it looks fucking awesome.
It does.
And there's not really a whole lot more to say about it. I want to wield a sword. I want to wield a bow. I want to be sneaky. I want to do whatever the fuck I want.
Do some magic. Cast some spells and some skellies.
Some magics, brother.
It just feels good.
Yeah,
I feel like there's been a bit of an identity change. I feel like it's a little bit brighter than when they revealed it.
Okay.
And I feel like Bethesda was like, hey, you're encroaching on our IP. Make some changes in how this looks. That's my headcanon. That's what I think deep down inside. I'm not mad at it. It looks good, but it definitely has some more brighty, glowy textures happening.
Yeah, some neon flora and fauna.
Yeah.
It looks.
That's what we say in the biz.
Avowed is also coming in 2024, so that's next year. Thank God, because we have no more fucking bandwidth this year for games.
Yeah, my goodness.
It's going to be on Xbox Game Pass, and I gotcha. What did I say? Coming to the Xbox Game Pass, and it looks like a good time. I really do want it to come out like right now.
I need it.
The end.
I fucking need it.
I fucking need it.
You know what's not on here that we can devote 30 seconds to? Did you play the Final Fantasy 16 demo?
No.
You should. It's really good. That's it. Move on.
Oh, you want to wait for me to play it before? Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Do I have to play it on PS5 or can I do it on PC?
You have to do it on PS5.
Okay, I guess. Okay, next up, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and I thought to myself, what a wonderful game. No, I played the last Flight Simulator, but I really just thought these were supposed to be like 10-year apart games. So I'm like, they're making another one. However, if you didn't watch this trailer, let me enlighten you. There's a lot of shit in here that is cool to me. It's not just here getting to play and fly around. That's it. You get to basically do a bunch. You can do aerial firefighting, search and rescue. What is this? Hey, I'm skimming through. Helicopter cargo transport to like offshore drilling rigs. You can do air ambulance for people that are injured, have to get flown to a you can do fucking crop dusting, agricultural aviation.
So you can fail people. You can fail people and their lives end because of your failure.
Yeah, you can be the guy that has to go save the idiot who went down to the Grand Canyon and then realized that he didn't know how to get home. It's called mountain rescue. You can be the people who drop skydivers out of planes. You can be skydiving aviation. I was so impressed with the amount of shit in this trailer. I'm still going. Aerial construction, like helping to build. There's these mega huge helicopters with like the middle's almost cut out. They have like a big winch, and he's carrying like a mobile cell phone tower to put in place.
Is it in VR?
I don't know.
So here's the thing. I'm not into these games, but I'm into people who are into these games. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I would watch the shit out of you streaming this game and role-playing the entire thing. I would have, that would be my entire night. Like if you had an actual like captain's helmet on and you were speaking as if you were the captain. That would be amazing.
I'm not even done yet. This trailer is VIP charter services. Like you can fly celebrities to and from on like a little private Cessna jet. There's racing. There's aerial racing. People who fly these little stunt planes around. glider pilots, scientific research, people who fly towards fucking tornadoes to collect data, experimental flying, low altitude training, executive transport service, and hot air balloons. Who the fuck wants to do that? I don't know. Your mom, probably. It sounds relaxing. She probably wants to do it.
She could use it. She's been working really hard.
I was just impressed. Like, I'm sure they have modes in the other one that I wasn't aware of, but like, as far as I knew, it was like, pick a plane. What do you want to take off, fly somewhere, land? You know, sure, make a flight plan, but like, who gives a shit? I didn't think there were jobs to do. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I don't know. This is coming next year, 2024 again. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Maybe I'll fly some mountain rescue.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll save.
You should buy
the cliffhanger. You're really pushing this.
Yeah.
Did you play the first Senua Saga Hellblade game?
I didn't. I always meant to. I heard it was like a walking simulator, which, as we know, I don't mind a walking simulator. I loved Death Stranding. I heard it had a great story, and I think I might even own it. But it's just one of those things that's been on the backlog for a while. But no, to make my very long answer into one word, the answer is no.
So let me just first start off by saying big same. I never played it. I always wanted to play it. I heard it was great. I think one of the things that was most impressive, if I remember correctly, IIRC about the first game was that the facial animations were extremely on point. Like they actually had like a full motion capture with an actor. And I don't know. This trailer looks cool. There's some psychological stuff going on. I know that was a big theme in the first one. And it's the next chapter in Senua's story. I don't know anything else to say about it because the answer is just that it looks cool, and I want to go back and play the first one.
I would recommend that if you have not watched this trailer, you should watch it with your headphones on because there's like a lot. It uses the whatever that fucking technology
directional
is called.
audio
It's very like it sucks you into the sort of creepy like psychotic element of the game to have these just whispers coming from different directions all over. It was cool. I'm glad I headphoned that one.
Glad I headphoned it.
Headphoned.
This will be coming out in 2024. No word yet if it'll be coming to Game Pass, so we'll let you know if it does. All right, moving on. Speaking about coming to Game Pass. Wait, is this one coming again? I'm not sure.
I think it is. Pretty sure.
I think it. Starfield.
Nope.
Starbound Field.
There you go.
Starfield. We got an official story trailer. This game is actually coming out. It looks like they have in-game footage. I have concerns about this game, but I really want to leave them until we get closer to release. Starfield is coming out September 6th this year. It is definitely coming out on the Xbox Game Pass. Most of my concerns come around planetary exploration, and that's because the way they made it sound, it's really not clarified, but the way they made it sound was that you land on a planet. They didn't say if you could land wherever you want. They talk about procedural generation, but they almost made it sound like each planet is just like a big map that you can explore. Mm-hmm. They talk about how you can land, explore freely, and then whenever you want, teleport back to the ship. But there's no talk about like, is it actually a planet? Like, can I go run around the whole thing? I know it's a silly question, but it's the kind of thing where they make it sound like No Man's Sky, but with actual storylines. And I'm starting to believe now that that's really not the case. And even if there's 1,000 worlds, so we're talking about 1,000 procedurally generated decent sized maps.
Yeah.
That's a lot different to me than something like a No Man's Sky. There's no hint of like a ground vehicle that you can make or craft. They definitely confirmed that you can't take off and fly into space on your own. There's an animation, like you get in your ship, there's an animation, and then you're in space. You don't get to do that. Look, I know there are engine limitations for stuff like that. I know it's not easy to do. I just
fuck. There's a game that you would really like, and I can't think of the name of it, but that's its whole thing. You're like a cargo. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about that right now, but I'm gonna figure out the name of that game and shoot it over to you.
I mean, look, the storyline stuff looks interesting, and I'm not straight poo-pooing. These are just cautionary things that I'm like, I don't know yet if I'm gonna hate this to death because of those things, or if I'm gonna go, it's really not a big deal. Like, this is fine.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of space stuff to be done. it's just hard. It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. This comes out soon though, 3 months. So we'll figure it.
I'm actually kind of hyped for it. I got to be honest. I got a little sucked by these recent. They did this, and then they did like a 45-minute like deep dive.
I watched that too. Yeah,
and it was pretty cool. I think my concern is, especially with them saying it's not gonna have a performance mode on consoles. The only thing that would stop me from buying this game is if it runs like shit on PC.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's gonna be janky. Every Bethesda game is janky, but I mean, like, if it's running at like 25 FPS, that would be the only thing that would prevent me from doing it. They've promised so much for this that if they deliver on half of it, it's still gonna be half of it with proper, frames per second. It's still going to be a good game to me. Like the ship customization and just the different ways, like they're showing you flying around in space, and you can either like destroy an enemy ship and just sort of pick up some of their loot, or you can like disable their engines and then dock them and kill everyone on board. And then
that was cool.
More loot. Like that kind of shit is so cool to me. And there's like traits where like the one guy was talking about how he took a trait where he belongs to some certain religion. So like these religious zealots intercepted him in space and were about to kill him, and they were like, "Oh, you're one of ours. Okay, bye." Like that kind of role playing shit is just so fucking cool to me.
Yeah,
No, I think it looks really great. I'm really excited for it. Listen to me. I will not pre-order this game. I don't care how they sweeten the pot. I don't care if CD Keys is selling it for $2. I will not buy this game until it comes out and until there are reviews on PC and that say that it's running in the way that it's intended to run.
Yeah.
You're not getting me again, Todd Howard.
I agree.
Son of a bitch.
I had a buddy at work who told me he pre-ordered it because he couldn't handle the hype, and I was like, dude, I was like, that's gross to me.
Yeah.
It's like 3 months out. I was like, at least wait to hear a review about the game before you. Like, it could be a disaster, and you have no clue right now. Okay, moving on. We're gonna speed through the rest of these. I want to get to our main topics. I'm skipping Still Wakes the Deep. It looks cool. It's a horror game. Go check out the trailer. It's not really in our wheelhouse here. We don't do a lot of horror stuff. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. We got the official trailer for it. One of the things I'm talking about with this is one of the news articles about it. So the trailer looks awesome. Like the expansion looks very juice.
Yeah.
Idris Elba's in it, of course. We also have Keanu Reeves. They're just throwing big name celebs at us to sell it, and guess what? It's fucking working. But the most exciting things about this. And also, sorry, let me just put it out on Front Street. This comes out in September. Notice the theme here? A lot of fucking shit coming out. Holy shit. A lot of shit coming out. I am definitely going to be starting a brand new game when this expansion comes out, because most of the exciting shit that's coming with this expansion is free to people who own the base game, in the way of they're completely redoing talent trees. They are completely reworking the police AI.
Did you ever read it? I forget. I feel like I've asked this a million times. Okay. Yeah.
I did not. They're completely reworking the police and the AI system, the wanted system, how they react to you. There's a ton of like quality of life changes, a few back-end mechanical changes, and all the stuff is coming to people who own the base game. The one huge distinction, obviously, is I'm so sorry. There's going to be like new vehicle combat, shit like that. That's going to be in the base game too.
Oh, nice.
The one huge distinction is that there's going to be a new area of Night City called Dogtown. It's the area in Pacifica that's exclusive to Phantom Liberty. That's where most of the story content's going to take place. And this really sounds like it's going to change up a decent amount of the game itself. It's still going to be the same base game.
Yeah.
But hopefully they make you feel more like a fucking disgusting edge runner from the anime that came out.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I replayed it and I did like a stealth like hacker build, and it was a really fucking good time. Like they really, even on launch, I didn't hate it, but it didn't have that. I understand what you're saying. Like it didn't feel as cool as they kind of made it. I feel like the tweaks that they already did were good enough. So the fact that I didn't know they were doing that they were revamping skill trees.
Yep.
Even from the beginning, like that's even more exciting to me. But I think we talked about it a couple months ago, and I had recommended anybody who passed by it at first, which I totally understand because it was such a nightmare. I like begged them, petitioned to go play it again. Please, I'm doing it again. Give this fucking game another chance. It really is. They really have improved on it. It is such a good fucking time.
Yeah, it's basically CD Projekt Red's No Man's Sky. They put lots of love into that bitch since launch. Moving on though, Assassin's Creed Mirage. We got some gameplay. I am very excited about this game, but there's not a lot to say, and that's because the gameplay is simple.
Yeah.
In a good way. It reminds me of the earlier entries in the franchise in a great way.
Yeah.
The setting looks awesome.
It's beautiful.
It's fucking gorgeous. They never let me down there usually though.
Yeah.
And it looks like a good classic Assassin's Creed experience, and I kind of can't wait for that. And guess what? October this year.
Shit.
Right in our fucking face. Looks cool. I like it. Looks awesome.
It does look very good. Very good.
You are playing as Basim. He's
Bayek is who you are in Origins. Basim.
Bayek. I love the name Bayek. I thought it was a cool dude name.
Yeah. It's a shame I had to shelve that one because I'm playing so many other goddamn games, but AC Origins is really good.
Look, we're gonna hop into our main topics, but before we do, I just want to say there is so many games that we did not even get to mention because of the sheer quantity of this.
Too many Yakuza games announced.
Yeah, Yakuza, Exoprimal, Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom. There's a ton of shit. There's a whole PC section that had like 50 fucking titles or more that were in there. Some of them looked really cool. Just don't have time to touch base on them. I want to get to our two main topics. They are, well, actually kind of three. Yeah. This first one we're going to talk about really quickly. So we both played the Lies of P demo, which I want to get thoughts on. Then it's Yellowjackets. I want to save Flash for last. That way we can go, hey, we're going to talk about that movie that just came out, and you can turn it off right here if you don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Lies of P. You first played it. I have to let everybody know how this happened. Okay. You first played it, and you said some things in our group chat that made me turn it to, and not that I thought that you were lying or incorrect, but you were like, I got to tell you, I'm not really feeling it. And I was like, huh? Because literally all day long, I'm reading nothing about but people that were like, this is awesome. It really feels like Bloodborne, but we'll get into it later. So I'm like, huh, that can't be right. And then I played it later and I'm like, I really don't know where he's coming from on this one because I loved it. And there are some caveats. There's a couple things that I noticed that feel different, but to be from an indie developer like Neo is, it feels so AAA polished right now, at least in the demo area, that I'm very excited for it. I thought it was a blast. And before I get into my small thoughts about it, what happened?
What happened was I did not choose the Big Bonk build when I initially tried it, and that was
I didn't do Big Bonk.
I did I think I just did like the middle of the road one, like a fucking pussy.
Because I'm
Listen, forget that thing I just said. Don't worry about that.
I'm milquetoast, baby.
When I did it, here's the thing. I still do have issues with the game, and my issues are, and apparently they said that things like dodge distance are going to be upgradable throughout the game. But there's
interesting.
I can't stand when there's a dodge function and the dodge doesn't get you out of the range of. It's like, what's the fucking point of having it?
I totally understand that.
I didn't really quite figure out the iframes, and I think the first night I played it, I was drunk. So I kind of was not willing to look inward and go what am I doing wrong? And so when I went back, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it again.
I can't look inward.
Right? So when I did it the second time, first of all, I started over and I did Big Bonk. And then still there's I don't think it feels like Bloodborne. I don't. I think it feels more like Dark Souls and looks like Bloodborne. That's my opinion on it. Not that any of that shit really means anything in the long run, but there's still a bit of it's not quite there, but with knowing that the developer was oh, some of this shit is going to be upgraded in the game, that to me is okay, well, that's reassuring because that makes sense. When you start off, you're not as strong, so things should be more difficult as you progress and your dodge distance gets a little better. I don't know. I can live with that, but I those are my very basic thoughts. I thought that it was good. It's not I can't wait until this comes out, I'm going to buy it day one type game.
Right.
But I agree, for such a tiny studio, and before this fucking thunderstorm burned the second monitor out, and now I'm on a 60 FPS monitor like a clown. It was running at 144 frames without a fucking hiccup, without any drop whatsoever on it was ridiculous how well optimized this game is.
Right.
Not that anything overly impressive is happening on the screen, but it looks good. It's not it's looks shoddy or something.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe how well it was running. But no, it's I take it back. I was wrong. I was drunk. Forget the things I said when I was drunk. It was.
That's a lit reference.
It was. Yeah. Did
you just my own worst enemy me?
But no, it was a good time. I actually didn't beat it. The last guy, the like puppet master or whatever the fuck his name is, I never.
You were like, I got enough of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I completely. You had mentioned the dodge thing to me, and playing it, I went, oh, okay, that is kind of weird. And so this is that's a very real critique. I didn't know they were going to make it upgradable. That makes it less of a pain point for me. What I ended up doing was just, basically using dodge as it's basically just Sekiro, because everything has to be perfect. Either you're parrying everything, or your dodge has to be timed so perfectly that you get iframes and you don't get hit. Which more or less meant that there is no dodge at that point, right? Because like you said, a dodge should get you out of danger, which is why that I definitely think that that's a valid criticism. But I was playing it and I'm like, yeah, but besides like just my one single issue with the dodge and that I'm getting used to while playing it, everything else felt great.
Yeah.
And you had, the reason I was so shocked is because you equated it to one of the worst games TM that I've played in recent memory that was supposed to be a Souls-like. And I'm sorry to call you guys out like this, but was it Thymesia
or something like that?
And we both thought we were kind of excited for that, and it was hot garbage. That game is bad. I'm sorry, devs. You might have made it better than when we played it, but when we played it, it was no bueno. Yeah. Not good. Get your money back if you paid for it.
Any game that has a perfect parry system that rewards you nothing for your perfect parries, it's just like, you did it. That's it. There's like, it doesn't stagger the enemy, doesn't slow them down. You're just still in it. So such a weird system.
I can't believe I'm like excited about the lore for a game.
It was kind of fucking cool. Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Fucking Pinocchio. Geppetto is some weird, I don't know.
I saw someone comment about this game. Someone was like, oh, like on some thread, like, oh, you guys are excited about Pinocchio. And some dude, now granted, this guy went way too hard, but he made some great points where he was like, look, Americans are only ever exposed to the story of Pinocchio through Disney's Pinocchio, but the story of Pinocchio is a very serious story about death and pain and recreation and coming into oneself and growing and realization and actualization. And then Disney took it and boiled it down into a kid's story. So, and I thought, like, that's interesting. Like, culturally, my whole life and for the entire generation before me too, we've had this idea of Pinocchio as the fucking like dude with the nose that grows longer. But it was a very serious story before then. Still a children's like folklore thing, but it had very serious elements to it. So I think there's some interesting themes to play around with there.
I agree. Moving on. Yellowjackets. We're going to get through this. We're going to talk about the Flash, and we're going to be fucking donezo. Yellowjackets. This show is in season 2 right now, and I've heard nothing but people talk positively about this show. Samantha and I decided to sit down and watch it. I have confirmed we have watched only the first 3. So we're on episode 4.
I think we're on 5, so we're like 1 ahead of you.
Okay, and the episode 4 is called Bear Down. I don't remember if we watched part of it or not. It's kind of fuzzy. It's been like a week or 2 since we watched it. We since have now been caught up in a different show, which I'll talk about later on another episode. I really like this show. It's I had no idea what the premise was. I just remember seeing like a trailer with a bunch of kids and like weird antlers and shit. And the premise is such: a girls' soccer team. I don't remember the year. They
90s.
90s. Yeah, they are on a plane to play a championship game. They go down in the woods. There's definitely some weird shit happening in the woods. There's some kind of like symbols they're finding on trees and shit. But the story is really about what this journey does to these girls. Tribalism, we're talking Lord of the Flies type shit. People getting fucking killed. Apparently there is some pretty gnarly fucking kid on kid murder here going on. There's a lot of personalities, but the thing that sets us apart that I didn't realize, and I knew Christina Ricci was in it, but when we started watching it, I'm like,
not. What a pleasant surprise.
Oh yeah. She's awesome. I knew she was in it, but I didn't know where she was going to fit in because I saw the cast of like teenage girls. Yeah. And there's a flash forward. So there's an added level of mystery here where, because obviously if we see them as adults, we know they survive the experience. Yeah. Anyone we don't see as adults in the future is subject to being murdered. unless they show up somewhere surprising, which has already happened once, to me at least. But there's this dichotomy, there's this juxtaposition between their current lives, and it seems like they're hiding, not seems like, they are hiding from the public. They made like a pact, the ones who survived, to not tell people what happened because it sounds really bad. I don't even know if there's legal ramifications because they might just say like, well, you guys are surviving, but like they straight up, it looks like murdered some of their fellow teammates potentially. I'm rambling and I don't have a strong through line here because I've only watched 3 episodes. I really like the show so far. I think it's super well acted. All the side plots so far have been very interesting with the characters as kids and adults. And that's it. I'm going to watch more. We're going to finish it for sure.
I love dual storyline narrative. I always think that's interesting to have like just twos going on at one time. I love that about Lost, which had a lot of flaws, but even that was cool. You're getting 2 stories at one time, and they coincide in weird ways. And I don't know. I just think that's cool. If you can do it right, it's really fun, and they're doing it right in this show. I think that there's been this. Like you said, the mystery of the show is you see stuff that takes place in the past. You see a couple of kids die in the crash. A couple of kids die shortly after the crash. You know, some of the adults, some of them made it, but some people you don't see. It's like, did they die then? Did they die after they got back? I'm also kind of playing it safe because I'm an episode ahead of you. Right. And that's the mystery of it. But the thing that I think is so cool about it is I think that some of the 2 separate actors who share a character, of course, across the 30 years or so, you can tell really like workshopped together. And so Christina Ricci and she's my Misty, I think is her name, is my favorite character on the show. I think she's so good.
She's crazy.
She's crazy, but she's like, I don't know. She's just really funny. Yeah. But I feel like the young Misty and Christina Ricci really must have like gotten together and like figured this character out together. And the other one is Juliette Lewis, who plays, what is her name? Is it Kat or Nat or something? She's like the punk rock one. Yeah. There's just really, I think a lot of times when you get like a young, like in the same movie, like the younger version, there's not a lot of similarities between them. They both just sort of read the same script and they're doing their take on the script. And then other times you can kind of tell like, no, these people got together and they made sure that there was like a real through line in how they act and how they present themselves. So that's what's impressed me about it so far. And it's just well done. And it has a fucking great soundtrack. Opened up on Smashing Pumpkins. PJ Harvey was in the fucking first episode. Hole was in the first episode. It's like all these great 90s grunge and alt rock bands that I just fucking love. And it's, what was the other one? Portishead was in like episode 2 or 3. I'm like, just shit bands I haven't thought about in 10 years. That's my era, baby. Last great era, 90s. It's I don't know. It's a great show. It's well done. I'm kind of treading on thin ice because I don't want to say anything you haven't seen, but it's very good. I very highly recommend it. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm going to try to convince Veronica for us to watch an episode tonight because same. We watched like 5 rapid fire. I'm getting the thumbs up over here. And then for some reason we haven't watched any more in like a week. So we have some catching up to do.
Yeah, it was very good. Very juice. Big recommend. Okay, the main event here. Derek and I got to go see The Flash. And I know there's a spoiler warning in the beginning of the episode, but hey, look, if you don't want to hear anything about this film, because we're going to talk about all the spoilers, then you should turn the podcast off. We'll see you next week. I love you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a good night.
Goodbye. So The Flash came out on a Friday. We saw it Saturday morning, like a bunch of old fucks at 11:30 a.m. I'm gonna just do broad strokes here, and then obviously what we always do, I'll do broad strokes, ask you how you felt about it, broad strokes, and then we can get into some details. And there are definitely details that I want to discuss. So, broad strokes, and I told you this basically in the parking lot. It's the same spiel I gave you then. I like this movie. I had a very good time with it. I know that I definitely know that it's not perfect. There was a lot of hyperbole that came out about this film ahead of its release, which was very, I think in hindsight, stupid to do because it's just a comic book movie. But to me, at least, I don't know how you feel about it, it was a well done DC comic book movie. And I just got like 3/4 of the way through, I just went like, man, this just feels like a DC movie. Like this just feels like what I want the future of DC films to start to go into. Like not the exact same mold, but it just, it helps that this is one of my favorite comic book storylines of all time. And, here's where I'll leave it. Like, for now, the reason I like this story so much, and the reason I like the comic books and the animated series and now the film, is that there's no like big evil villain that wants to come take over Earth. There's no blue beam in the sky. Well, I guess Zod's machine technically made a big beam in the sky. But it's not some like Thanos, I'm dominating Earth, or, dark elves and Thor. There's no like, fuck you guys because fuck you guys. This is a story about a guy who can he's a god. And I've discussed this ad nauseum on this podcast. The Flash can literally run back in fucking time, and he decides to use it to save his mother and to save his father too, who's in prison for life because of what happened. And he destroys everything. He fucks up the timelines. As they say, it's all spaghetti at the end. And he realizes that the only way to save it is to carry that pain. And they hammer this point home. Both Batman hammer the point home, I think, but in different ways. Barry eventually comes around to saying this point on his own and says exactly the point to his younger self. And I really just love the Flashpoint storyline so much. That being said, I have criticisms of the film that we'll get into, but as a broad stroke, I really enjoyed it. And I know that I'm biased, but I did ultimately really enjoy it.
No, I thought it was very good. There's something about it while watching it that was irritating me about it. For some reason, became the thing that I enjoyed about it most, and that's that, like, well, you kind of just said it, like, in all these movies, there's some big showdown. There's like, who's the big bad guy, and they make you think, oh, it's Zod, it's X, it's Y, and they have to get the good guy. They have to get Sasha Cal, blah, blah. And like all those points, they kind of just go nowhere. Like they never really. And I kept going like, man, there's no satisfying like, But then I just think that it was cool to do something a little different.
It's an emotional climax.
Yeah, it's like a battle with himself. Like literally, he's separate from himself. It's another version of himself, and it's like him going like, it's just him realizing he just has to accept this, like you said. I don't know. There's just something cooler about that, to have this bombastic AAA fucking multi-$100 million movie. And just have it not be about this like showdown at the end. I mean, even with whatever the like older Flash, like that fight was like literally 25 seconds long. It was not talked. Like, And exactly. And then Barry B, or whatever you want to call him, just took the killing hit for him. I found, and again, something that irritated me about it, I ended up coming to appreciate about it, and that was that the long hair Barry, that's the only way I know how to differentiate them.
Ooh, are you about to steal one of my points? Go ahead.
Was super fucking annoying, like too obnoxiously annoying. Sorry. I did steal your point, it looks like.
We'll see. We'll see where you go with this.
But I think that was the point, that Barry is already in sort of like this iteration, Ezra Miller's Barry has always been to me like borderline. Like he was annoying in the other movies too, but it was always like just enough that you're like, all right, he's the kid of the group. He's the speedster, right? So he has that like, like skittery kind of personality. Yeah, and so you're seeing a version of himself where he was coddled with those personality traits. So of course he's even worse. So the thing that amazed me the most about this was that Ezra Miller really killed it. Like he really did a good job in this movie.
Fucking murdered it. I loved it. I
was like moved to tears by his acting at some points. Like he really did an excellent job.
I don't know. You probably didn't look at me.
I can hear you when you start crying every time we start watching movies.
Well, I was silent, motherfucker. But
no, you do that. So, you make this sound. You go. That's always the signal.
Hold it in a sense, like I was coming. I might have been. Who knows? He acted so well. I can't at least. No, the scene in the grocery store, and he's like,
yeah, dude.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's making me upset thinking about it. He has to go put the tomato back, and I'm holding the lump in my throat down so hard because it's not only am I right next to you. I don't care if I cry in front of you. I cry all the time. I'm next to a complete stranger on my left, and so I'm watching, and it doesn't happen often, but I just feel them start to come down the sides of my face, and I'm I'm gonna act very cool, calm, and collected, and I gently went. Like I had something in my eye.
Exactly.
And then a couple seconds later I went in for the other one. You did use this, one of the points I was going to, but it's that something very different from the Flashpoint story is Barry doesn't like in the Flashpoint comic book. He wakes up in this timeline where his mom's alive. He has no power. He takes the place basically of that Barry. Whereas in this one, there's two of him. And I think it was a really brilliant way to have very visible character growth to the audience, because you're right. Not only do we have like what I would call a hyper annoying version of him, because he has these abrasive personality traits that have been amplified by the fact that he's had no real conflict in his life. He had his parents, he's coddled. They paid for the apartment for Christ's sake. I was like, fuck you. Really? Your parents got that kind of money? He's had all these memories with his mother. But then on top of that, we have 10-year older Barry he's had less abrasive versions of those same traits. I said abrasive again. I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Less severe, less hardcore versions of those traits just because he's had a harder life. And then on top of that, he's been through the events of the Justice League. And I mean, there's literally a point where he's like, can you just stop talking? He's like, Jesus, I see what everyone means when they say that. And I remember thinking like, that's awesome. Like and he plays off of himself. So like, they're very distinct. I would always be able to guess which Barry was which Barry by like a second or two of dialogue. Yeah. I thought he did a wonderful job. There's a couple quiet moments in this movie where, and one of them was in the trailer that still got me, even though it was in the trailer and I knew it was coming, where Keaton's like, why do you want to, you can go anywhere. Why do you want to save this one? And he's like, cause it's the one where my mom lives.
Yeah.
And I was like, God fucking damn it, Ezra Miller, you groomer. This is how you did it, isn't it? You acted well. And then they followed you anywhere. I'm kidding. It's fucked up. Those allegations. Who knows? The parents said he did. When the kid came of age, said, no, not really. It wasn't like that. So, who do you believe?
I will say this, though. My big negative for this is like, I have now been exhausted with multiverse shit. I am over multiverse. Yeah. Like, it's done. Like, between Quantumania and this and Doctor Strange, and I'm done. Like, this is the last one. I'm fucking tired of it. Let's do something else now.
Wait. There's one more, though. Spider-Verse.
Oh, shit. I'm not done yet.
You gotta watch that one.
That's right. You're right. I'm not done at all. I'm just getting started, baby.
So I still have more positives to talk about, but let's do a little negative sandwich where I put it in the middle. Two things that bothered me about this film. One, there's some shitty CGI in it, which is to be expected in a superhero film.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing, and we talked about it in the parking lot. I read an article before we went to go see it where someone said, hey, some of the CGI sucks. And the director said, well, some of it's intentional. And listen, I don't know if I believe this or not, but here's what he said. He said some of it's intentional. It's, some of this is through Barry's eyes and what he sees in the Speed Force and blah, blah, blah. There's a part of this that I can accept as him being truthful. In the Chrono Bowl, the way they show time travel, which I thought was really cool. It's this like Coliseum layout where he's in the middle and it's almost like slides of different points of life are shuffling through him. It's like rewinding a videotape. Those to me were some of the worst looking CGI, but I think they were supposed to represent like vignettes. Like this was almost like a drawing of what that represented in that period, which is fine. The problem is if you want it to be that way, if it's not supposed to look real life, then do something that is so very overly explained to the audience is not supposed to look realistic.
Yeah.
Because instead of me going, oh, it's supposed to be like a vignette, a representation of that moment, not the actual real life moment. It just looked like CW CGI.
Yeah.
It didn't look like you were trying to do like a hyper stylized or something like that. And I would say the only reason I give him any credence to that story is that I think 95% of the shitty CGI was in those scenes for me.
I think the only really shitty CGI was just like the faces. Like the faces were the only thing that sucked. Everything else looked great. Like all the special effects looked incredible. But yeah, I agree. I think it was a cop out. I didn't think of it in the way that you're talking about it, as if they were like representations of that. But you're right. Like if you were going to do it that way, it should have been more abstract. It shouldn't be have been anywhere in the realm of like true to life.
Yeah.
If you're just going to lean out and say like, oh, well, the only reason it doesn't
because then it just looks bad
that way.
Right.
Yeah.
To my brain, it just looks like you didn't spend enough money on it.
Yeah.
There was like one or two times I remember making a mental checklist of like, Obviously, when they have two Ezras in the scene, I don't know how they accomplish it all the time, but one or two, and I would say like a good chunk of the movie, I didn't even think about it, which is a testament to how well some of the CGI was. But there was a couple moments, I think one right before the big Zod fight, where I could clearly tell that one was the fake Ezra.
Right.
And the other one was like the role he was actually in. And it only happened once or twice, which again, they're together a lot.
Yeah.
That's a testament to some of the really great CGI in this film. But it's so weird to have like some really good CGI in a movie where there's also some really bad CGI in a movie.
Yeah.
Again, which is why, again, I'm kind of leaning on wanting to believe him, but I just think it was done poorly if that was your intent. My second problem with the film was the cameos that they had were, some of them were funny and some of them were like, oh, nice nod. There are omissions to, it's like you're basically throwing everything in the kitchen sink from a DC movie because you can. That's the point of the Flash. He can go anywhere. For Christ's fucking sake, I don't know if you recall this, Ezra Miller made a cameo on the CW Flash show. There was a big crossover. It was very small, but there was they played it off as if the show was what made him call himself the Flash in the movies, because he had never called himself anything. He shows up for a split second. It's shitty CGI. It's in Star Labs. It was over one of the big crossover events on the show. He shows up. He's like, who the hell are you? And they're like complimenting each other's outfits. He's like, oh, that's very sleek. And he's like, oh, you have lots of plates. The armor makes sense. And then he was like, are you the Flash? And Ezra Miller was like, he went, oh, as if it's like, oh shit, I should call myself the Flash.
Right.
So here's my thing. I don't even know why I went off on a tangent like that. If you're going to show up and make if you're going to bring Christopher Reeves back from the dead as Superman, which he's been dead so long, I almost feel like they passed a mark. Like use old archive footage. Like you don't have to do that. Again, leads more credence to it was supposed to be stylistic, but I digress. Nick Cage Superman, which is a deep fucking cut. There have been behind the scenes images of him in a test costume where it never got made. I don't know if you've seen them. He's got long hair. Kevin Smith famously, that's a Kevin Smith reference, the big spider. Kevin Smith famously recounted how he was asked to write a Superman film that never got made. And they said, I have 3 requirements. I don't want him in the fucking suit. I don't want him to fly. And he's got to fight a big spider in the 3rd act. That's a joke. And they actually made the goddamn fight scene.
Yeah.
Adam West. And then it just felt like, if you're going to put these cameos in here, whether you want to differentiate yourself from the TV universe or not, which is kind of besides the point because the Flash show is done now.
Yeah.
Grant Gustin, regardless of the show, to a lot of people has been the Flash for the last like 10 fucking years on TV. And I feel like to not have him in there was almost disrespectful.
I've seen a lot of people say the same thing. And I have no relation to, like, I have no attachment to that show, and I agree with that. And I also think beyond just that, I had read this post, someone said that it's weird, like in it, like you just said, like the whole thing is the multiverse, and ultimately you just kind of had like 3 cameos. And at that point, it's like either have none or have 40. Like,
yeah,
when you're only given
where was Christian Bale's Batman? Right. Everyone knows Christian Bale's Batman.
Or even like have a clip of Kevin Conroy's voice or something. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do...
I would have cried at that, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have, like, literally the fucking multiverse is your oyster. Yeah. Like, just go nuts. Like, if you're only doing these... And I'm not saying, like, they should have all had a major part in the movie, but if you're only doing these 3-second little Nicolas Cage clips, do more. Like, it would have been more fun. And instead, it's just, like, you get, like, 2 or 3, and it's like, oh, is that it? Like, we're... Yeah. And I hadn't really thought that watching it, but reading that post, I went, like, that's a good point. I either do, like, none... or just do like dozens. Like it was just weird to only have like less than a handful. It was kind of strange.
I was very disappointed Grant Gustin wasn't at least honored for like I said, the show's done. And I know that it fell off the wagon after season like 3 or 4 to most people, myself included. I stopped watching it. But I thought he did a really good job in that role. He really embodied that character in a different way than Ezra has. And it felt weird and like I said, like kind of like a slight that they didn't have him pop up for anywhere for some little cameo. Also, the George Clooney thing at the end made me laugh, but I think to general audiences it's confusing because I think to most people they think that the in-universe Batman is now going to be George Clooney and not just a gag. Like there's no expectation that this Flash will move forward with the DCU. He might show up in a different iteration, but that universe is not the universe James Gunn is playing in. George Clooney's not going to be Batman in the new Batman movie. And so while it was I laughed at it and I was like, holy shit, like the guy who literally like hates his own portrayal of Batman, they got him to come back in for a minute and say hi. It felt, again, in the realm of cameos, I felt like they kind of fucked up.
But that might be my favorite F-word use in a PG-13 film ever. Oh, okay. Who the fuck is this guy? And then the film ends. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Okay. So those are my 2 negatives. We're almost done. A couple minutes left. A couple positives. This movie was much funnier than I thought it was going to be. And to the point where like a lot of superhero humor can be like cringy, but you kind of chuckle still. There were some genuinely very funny moments to me. When he's back in time and he sees his younger self coming in. He's like spending time with his parents. It was the first time. And he goes, shit. And they're like, what? And he goes, I got a shit. And I don't know why it got me. It just fucking got me.
When the one who puts the suit on, he's like, it's really tight in the dick.
Oh, yeah. It's really tight. He's like, yeah, now I get it. He's like, in the dick. Okay. Also positives. Michael Keaton, bro.
He was incredible, and his action scenes, well, I know they weren't him, but
right.
they were.
I was going to say.
They were really cool, though. That was like some of the best Batman action that we like high-intensity Batman action that we've seen.
Are you ready for this analogy? Because I thought of this a couple of days ago, and I'm ready to come over you with it.
I'm ready.
So, obviously, Michael Keaton's like 70. This is supposed to be an older Batman. It's a superhero film, though. Got to give it a grain of salt. And we get to see him do some incredible shit as Batman. And watching it, we're like giddy. You and I had seen some of this in the trailer, and we're still like, oh, fuck yeah. I remember looking over at you. We were both like, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Watching him basically get his own warehouse scene with those guards felt like watching Darth Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah. Like one last. Exactly.
In the opposite way. Obviously, Vader's a villain.
Yeah.
But you watch those Keaton films, he punches guys, they fall off screen. It's one hit, they're done.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of action in him. He's in a hard cast rubber suit. He can barely fucking move in those movies. So to see him come back, and in your head, you're like, he was a badass as Batman. And then to see it realized and to see him like fucking people up and just being a fucking, like, he was so good. It was really great to see him. You can tell he revels in the role. They gave him a nice send off, to be honest. I mean, probably the last we'll ever see of him in the cape and cowl, but Barry's like, I'm sorry, I can't bring you back. And he's like, you already have. And whereas most times I would think that was really cheesy, he just
was really good.
Well.
Dude, that's exactly how I felt about it. I'm like, any other person, any other actor saying that line, I would have scoffed it away. But like from Keaton, the way he fucking just barked it out, I was like, I'm covered in goosebumps just thinking about it. It was a really great, like, dying line or whatever.
Yeah. There's so much I like about this movie that, I'm going to continue to ramble, but, I enjoyed the
Batfleck's action in the beginning was fucking tight too.
The entire opening was when he was grappled onto the car and being pulled down the highway. Yes, that was one of the times when you and me went, I was maximum cum power.
Yeah.
The random Wonder Woman cameo. Yeah. I would love to have seen this movie before James Gunn took over, because Henry Cavill did film scenes for this that were cut out. Mm-hmm. And that was another thing that perplexed me, because you would imagine he was cut out to not confuse the audience. They've already told the public he's not coming back. There's a new DCU coming out, one of the first of which films is going to be a new Superman. But then you have like Clooney show up at the end and imply that he's the new Batman when it's clearly not going to be. And I don't know why you wouldn't just give him the fucking cameo and send him off. I mean, for Christ's sake, you had Wonder Woman show up. We had Ben Affleck in the beginning, who was awesome. The lasso of truth scene. Batman mumbles to himself, I could fight crime by solving poverty. Like he literally.
Did he really? I missed that.
Yeah. They were going back.
I just like when he was like, I have way too big of an ego to thank someone.
They made this gag in Justice League, but it still works wonders here at the Lasso of Truth. They're all both tied up. Barry makes some sex thing about never having understood. he almost doesn't believe sex is real because he's never had it before.
Yeah.
And Batman's lines are killer, dude. He says the one you said about having too big of an ego to ever thank anybody. And then he kind of leans down and he's like, I could just fight. I could just solve crime by, or I could just fight crime by solving poverty or something like that. Was really, really fun.
I think I was laughing so much from the first one that I missed that because I didn't even hear that line.
The biggest compliment I can give this movie is I came home and I went to Samantha and I went, I wish that we could go back and watch it. I wish I could show this to you because I want you to see it and I want to see it again. Last thing I will say. We're okay, whatever. But the last thing I'll say is you talked about the ending, how it was just like a conversation off, basically. And yeah, I mean, even Dark Flash, who obviously is corrupt and not making great choices in life at that point, doesn't come off to me as overtly evil. He's tragic. He's the sad character who's like, I can fix it. And the only... I just really enjoyed it because I like I love current Barry, and I like how he tried to protect like the whole arc of both Barrys made sense to me. I like just by character work. I enjoyed how current Barry was trying to shield younger Barry from the reason he came to this universe. Yeah. Why would you tell him this? And the entire motivation for Dark Flash just adds up to me. If an alternate version of me showed up and doesn't tell me why he's here, and then the world is ending and he gives me powers and I'm fighting with him, I'm like in this euphoric, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm a fucking superhero. And then we try to fix it and we can't, and he tells me that the only way he can fix it is by letting my mom die.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you say to that? Of course the answer is no fucking way, I'll figure this out. It just clicked. It's the reason why the Flashpoint storyline is so good to me. And yeah, that's it. I'm ranting and raving.
Yeah,
but,
no, it was great. I really liked it. Definitely a flawed movie. It's done pretty poorly. It has not made a lot of its budget
it was like
back.
60 million opening weekend, which is not great. And that's disappointing to me because as much as it is still a flawed superhero film that's subject to a lot of the tropes, and again has some poor CGI and some shitty cameos, at the heart of it, this is the direction I want DC films to go. I want these kinds of stories for these heroes where they might be big and bombastic, but at the heart of things is really a morality tale. And I got rumors that Manchester Black is going to be in the Superman film. And if they go down that road of the world no longer needs your antiquated, I'm going to come so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
And that's it.
By the way, on the outro, where can everybody find you?
They can find me on Twitter. I do want to Twitch it. I think I'm going to Twitch or stream, as the kids say, the Remedy verse, the Remedy games, Alan Wake, Quantum Break. Those two rhyme. The third one doesn't, and Control. But I'm trying to play the Yakuza games first. But anyway, that's not happening now. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. GloomMD. That's DRGLOOMMD. Where can they find you, Christopher?
Are the Yakuza games on Game Pass?
On Game Pass? They happen to not be on Game Pass.
You can find me on Twitter currently. Again, I will also be twitching and never mind. That's going to be a dirty joke at my wife's expense. I'm on Twitter right now. Crispy Mana, CRISPYMANA, Crispy Mana, however you like to pronounce it. You're welcome in my stream. Unless your name's Derek. I think I finally caught it. I will be twitching again soon. I don't know exactly when, but I want to come back and do I think I'm going to start with Alien Isolation VR.
Fuck yeah.
I've been talking about it too long. I think I have to
you got to do it.
I got to make an event of it and pee my little panties. And I can't wait. We're going to wrap things up. This is episode 103. I've had a wonderful time talking to you as always. And I'll see you next time.
I'll see you Saturday, as a matter of fact, at that BQ.
Are we doing it?
We'll doing it, bro.
Offline.
Yeah.
I figured. I told Sam it was basically going to be a rock band hangout. And she's like, okay.
Essentially, yeah.
All right. I love you. Bye.
I love you.